Yet another test match on this wonderful caravan. So, welcome to Cricbuzz Chatter in association with Cricbuzz 11, the fantasy gaming app from the house of Cricbuzz. You know him, he's been around for a long time. Michael Vaughan joins us today on Cricbuzz Chatter. And as you know, we won't hold back very much. He doesn't even know what holding back is, do you?
No, I mean it's been another wonderful day of Test match cricket. The sun has shone. The weather in the UK is magnificent. I know you were complaining earlier that it was a bit chilly. It's a wonderful weather forecast for the first 3 days. We might get some rain over the weekend, but it's been another intriguing day's play of Test match cricket. Two sides that ebb and flow, play the game a little bit differently, but I've really enjoyed today. Different to the first day at Leeds. The first day at Leeds was a bit more. The ball was flying to all parts because of a bit of extra bounce. This is a slow deck at Edgbaston, but a really good day of Test match cricket.
Yes, eventually 310 for 5. We'll talk about Shubman Gill. We'll talk about Yashasvi Jaiswal. But I'm going to put Captain Vaughan in, well, not quite the hot seat, but ask him the one question that a lot of us were debating before the game started. Where did you stand on Bumrah playing three and not playing this one?
Well, number one is I've been bamboozled by the fact that India have announced that Jasprit Bumrah is only going to play three. Why would you tell England that he's only going to play three? Just don't say anything. If you're not going to pick him, that's fine. But on the back of 7 days off, on the back of India going 1-0 down, I thought he would have played here. India have to win this game. If they lose here and they're 2-0 down and you bring Jasprit back in for Lords, I know all players want to play at Lords. And on the fact that this is a back-to-back kind of couple of weeks of Test match cricket, it's not easy, and I'm sure England will rotate the squad for next week at Lords. But I just look at India; they have to win this week, and they have to play well. And I'd have wanted another bowler, probably two other bowlers as well. I'd have wanted Jasprit Bumrah, I'd have wanted Kuldeep Yadav,
Yeah.
and I'd have wanted Arshdeep Singh as well. I'd want the left armour. And potentially, you could argue that you could have gone with three spinners on this kind of surface here at Edgbaston, which is dry, slow. I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of bounce. And what needs to happen now is we need to see some footholds for the spinners. If India are going to get 20 wickets here this week, I think the two spinners are going to have to play a big part.
It's interesting you talked about Kuldeep. Sunil Gavaskar on our program talked about Kuldeep. On our Sony mid-inning show, we had Saurav Ganguly in, and he talked about Kuldeep and Arshdeep. So what is it? I mean, they must be seeing it differently from the way everybody else is, because are they spooked by the collapses? Is there too much pressure to create the illusion of a longer batting order? But I would have thought that if you've got a bowler who might give you two wickets, then it's okay to score 30 less.
Well, I looked at the batting at Headingley. I thought India batted beautifully.
Mm.
Batting wasn't the problem. The tail enders aren't there to
Yeah,
win you a game with the bat in hand. They could have played more with more sense. When Jadeja's at the other end, why are you playing the big shots at number 9, 10, and 11? Just hang in for Jadeja. So tactically, they didn't quite get it right with the bat in hand. But Test cricket is all about 20 wickets. And when you look at, no Brahma, you look at no Arshdeep Singh, you're looking at no Kuldeep Yadav, you've got three bowlers there that I'm looking at and go, phew, I'd like those three in my team. And if you're not going to play Bumrah, well, you've got to play someone like Kuldeep Yadav, who is, yes, he might travel a bit, but who doesn't travel against this England batting lineup because they play such an expansive game? I would look at it more as a positive and think, what could Kuldeep get in that wickets column? And even if he's travelling a bit, I would say against an England side that, historically England have never played leg spinning that well. Kuldeep's record against England, he averages, 21 with the ball. I would say that the England side are probably sat in their dressing room quite pleased. Number one, that Bumrah's not playing. They'll be delighted with that. And number two, they're probably quite happy that Kuldeep Yadav's
Yeah,
not
I
playing.
saw this very funny stat. In the last 5 or 6 years, England have played six balls of wrist spin here in England, and those six came from Steve Smith. So that tells a story in there itself. Right, about the game itself, let's come down to the game. Lots of interesting things happened today. Once again, Ben Stokes won the toss, put India in. I think he's now done that, 11 out of his last 12 games in charge. It gives me the impression that Ben Stokes is just saying, yeah, we've got to spend 3.5 hours setting it up. Just give me a target.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks at 20 wickets. He knows that to win Test matches, you've got to get 20 wickets. He feels that you've got more of a chance of getting a bit more action out of a day one wicket than a day two, day three wicket. And he's not bothered about the chase. We've seen that he chased 378 here for three in 2022. He chased 370 last week at Headingley against India. So he's not worried about the chase. There's just a little bit of the traditionalist in me in Test cricket thinking, surely eventually eventually winning the toss and bowling will hurt you. The pitch will deteriorate, spin will come into play. It might be this week. England have lost 3 of the last 5 here. You know, it has been down to a little bit of tweak, a bit of spin. Nathan Lyon's bowled quite nicely here.
It's got 8 and 9, I think, in successive tests.
If there was a ground where you kind of look at the history, and of course the history suggests that England can chase anything down, and they did it here in 2022, and England will be absolutely fine with day one. They'll be fine with getting 5 wickets. They're in a better position after day one than they were after day one at Headingley. But there's just a little bit of the traditionalist in me thinking eventually bowling first when the sun's out and the pitch is flat, it may backfire one week. Yeah. It might be this week.
It's not a ground India love coming to. India have never won a test match here, but then India had never won a test match in Brisbane. India had a terrible record at Melbourne, so these things can change, but India have never won a test match here in Headingley, and it's going to be difficult to take 20 wickets here, but we'll wait and see. Sometimes in the absence of one, the others rise up. It was a batting day for India today. Yashasvi made 87, but I want to talk to you about Shubman Gill, because irrespective of how Michael Vaughan looks like on Cricbuzz Chatter, where he's happy to state his opinions on Twitter, he's quite a traditionalist at heart. And just as you enjoyed watching KL Rahul at Leeds, you said you enjoyed watching him there, you would have enjoyed watching Shubman Gill here, because I was astounded by his control percentage, 96% control, and he looked in trouble.
Oh, he played. I mean, the kind of term captain's innings is overrated. Yes. He is a batter.
Yes.
You know, when he walks out, he's a batter. You know, the one thing that I didn't do well enough in my career was be a batter when I was a captain. I was still captaining when I was batting. Yeah,
sometimes you say that.
Sometimes in my mind, I was still thinking about captaincy. What he's done in 2 games, he's gone out and just batted. His 100 at Headingley was probably purer than this one, but he's had to work so hard today because the pitch was a bit slower. England bowled well to him at the start, and he hung in there. I watched all right. He got a couple down to third man off Chris Wokes that were a little bit streaky, but he saw a good pitch and he went, you know what, I'm just going to bat all day. He had the mindset of realising that this pitch, there wasn't many gremlins out there. There shouldn't be any demons. There wasn't going to be one that's going to fly off a length. There wasn't going to be too many low balls. Not a great deal of spins. Not a great deal of swing yet. And he just said, you know what, as a batter in this team need my runs. And they need me out there as long as possible. And he's just batted pretty much the whole day with great control, clarity. Yeah. And he set the tone for his team to make sure that they weren't out of the contest. When they lost a couple and they lost a couple more, and I thought, oh, they could get bowled out for 280 here if they're not careful. If they lost Shubman Gill when it was 200 for 5, I'm thinking, they lose one more now and Washington comes out. They're under a huge amount of pressure. India could be bowled out for 280, 300, but the captain and Jadeja at the back end there just went, you know what, just dig in. And that was probably the word that we don't use enough of in this series. He dug in for his team to make sure that they did not lose the game on day one.
Digging in, exactly. Words that are music to my heart. That's why I keep saying test cricket is like that. Dig in. He was safe, 96% control. Safety is another big feature when you play on the Cricbuzz 11 app, 100% guaranteed. It only costs ₹1 to start playing. So get on, make your teams on that Cricbuzz 11 app right away. He said after that 147 at Leeds that he should have batted longer. And I can see that coming into this innings, just batting safe. It's something that Yashasvi Jaiswal will be kicking himself almost.
Oh, yes. But you know, the way that he played was to be expansive. He had a couple of wild swings in the first session. You kind of go, but it's Yashasvi. It's the way that he bats, and he puts the bowler under pressure in a different fashion to what Shubman Gill does. Shubman's got that pure forward defence. You know what Yashasvi's got is that ability to make sure that when the bowler's running into bowl, they know that he's going to latch onto anything. If you miss your length, you miss your lines, he's going to put you to the boundary. And you need difference in your batting lineup. And with the Yashasvi Jaiswal at the top of the order, you've got a firecracker that can get you out of the traps. And then at number 4, you've got a rock solid player. And you know, Jadeja now at number 7, I think it suits him down at 7. It's a lovely position for him to bat. They've got nice little players. Rishabh was slightly underwhelming really today because he's such a brilliant player. I thought he played. Can I use the word negative with Rishabh? I thought it was slightly negative.
Go on, because I've never heard you use that word about him
before. I was waiting for him to go, come on, this is a flat wicket. And he was tapping back half volleys. And then it was brilliant captaincy from Ben Stokes, because I reckon he's gone to Shoaib Bashir and said, come on, let's go slower. and that's tempting. And we've got fielders on the boundary. We're to keep going higher. And it was the second slowest delivery that's taken a wicket for an England bowler in the history. Matt Parkinson got a wicket against New Zealand.
That ball probably never reached.
Yeah, probably he's still getting to the far end. That was a few years ago. But I think that was the captaincy of Ben Stokes, that they dangled the carrot to Rishabh. But yeah, it was a very unlike Rishabh Pant innings, and he's been tremendous throughout the series. And I just look at this batting lineup that India have gone for. It's deep. When you go for a deep batting lineup, you've got to get a big number. And the 310 now, 5 wickets in the shed. Washington to come in next. The opening hour or so, you mentioned Shubman Gill being disappointed with 147. If he's there at 12 o'clock tomorrow, he'll be thinking of a double century.
The one thing I will say about Yashasvi, though, is that much as we say about Rishabh Pant, you've got to accept where you are with with Yashasvi. He got 87 today. He got 100 in the first innings. He's got hundreds everywhere he plays. He was 4 runs short of being the fastest Indian to 2,000 Test runs. So he's doing something right. 13 boundaries in there. So in all, to make 87 is still a big score, isn't it?
Yeah. He's going to get plenty of runs this series. He's playing great. His foot movement's excellent. England have tried the short ball theory. He seems to be able to cope with that. The moving ball, it didn't move a great deal, but that opening spell from Chris Woakes was terrific.
It was. I'm going to get to the.
That was a really good opening spell. That was a Chris Woakes that we've seen for many, many years. He wasn't quite at his best at Headingley, but Woakes was back to his best today.
Is a stock ball the one that leaves the right-hander? Because he was particularly dangerous to the one that is coming back in.
I think so. If you look at Jimmy Anderson throughout his career, he used to have the outswinger. That was his stock ball. And then he got this ball that just came back to the right-hander. And over my career, I hated that delivery, because guess what? The ball that nips back, you're going to trouble every batter with every dismissal. LBW ball caught behind. Whereas the ball that goes away, primarily, you're either going to bowl a Jaffa, and every now and again you get one that pitches middle and hits the top of off. But realistically, the outswinger is there to find the edge. Now, you need a little bit of fortune with the edge, because someone's got to catch it, or it has to go to hand. Whereas the ball that comes back into the stumps that we saw on a few occasions today, and I think Woakes bowled well enough to get a couple more wickets.
3 reviews. I think 2 of them with Woakes that the umpire gave a not out, but umpire's call. And I just wonder if the umpire is sitting there somewhere thinking it was actually clipping. Maybe in the second innings he'll get one that goes his way.
And that's what Test cricket brings. It brings that kind of manoeuvre, and we talk about players changing the way that they play throughout a Test match. I've never kind of thought of it, but I think you're absolutely right that an umpire might change the way that they umpire because of what they've seen from certain deliveries and certain kind of decisions that they've made on day one. And it might be that India get the look. It might be that the umpires go, okay, it's not as bouncy as it was at Headingley. So those balls that are hitting the pad at Headingley and going over the top, well, here at Edgbaston, it's a bit slow, it's a bit lower. Those balls are going to hit the stump. So it might be that's why it's quite good to bat first on some occasions. And we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Ben Stokes is a talk of the captaincy town, because he's kind of ripping up what the textbook says and what cricket has always done, particularly Test match cricket, and doing it a different way, which is great. That's why we love the game. But there will be a week where he makes a call and you think, ooh, didn't quite get it right. At the minute, I'm not saying that, because he's got it in him to get wickets tomorrow, and then his team have got a batting lineup that should be able to get a good score on this kind of surface. But if I was England, I wouldn't want this pitch to start spinning like I've seen previous Test match wickets here.
Since you mentioned Stokes and Jaiswal getting that 87, it's interesting that Jaiswal said after the first Test, and Jadeshwar Pujara was telling us a little while ago, that of all the England bowlers, he found Stokes the most difficult to get away, because it seemed to hurry on to the bat a lot quicker than he thought it would. So Stokes, again, outstanding. I mean, Stokes is a proper third seamer. I just think as a fourth seamer, Stokes is a bit of a luxury. Brydon Cast is always impressive. Maybe just a little off day for Josh Tongue, and Joe Root came in just in time to allow Shubman Gill to get the century before the second new ball came around.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Josh Tongue. He started at Headingley like that. He went around the park to start with, and then he's the Hoover. He just hoovers up the turn.
Is that what you call it, the Hoover?
The Hoover, yeah. I think the mop, whatever you want to call it, the mop or the Hoover.
Yeah.
If he can hoover up the tail tomorrow, England will be absolutely delighted. It's something that they've struggled with over the course of the last few years, but it's been an intriguing day. It really has, and full credit to India for digging in and hanging in there. They will know that they've got a chance of getting 450, but they also will know.
So far ahead, Michael. That's just
fast
forward. I'm going to get you to fast forward.
This is a problem that India will be thinking of. Oh, I tell you what, if England get 2 in the first 20 minutes tomorrow, they're in trouble. Could be in trouble.
It was indeed an intriguing Test cricket, much like playing on the fantasy gaming app on Cricbuzz 11 because well, you can have all the fun you have. You're 100% guaranteed, and it only costs you ₹1. So exciting! Lots of exciting contests on Cricbuzz 11. Do participate in that. So as I said, 100% secure, just the ₹1. I don't know if you can have as much fun as we had watching this game, but it was a fantastic day's cricket, and it's time now for me to put him on a hotspot. India made 3 changes. We talked about Bumrah, Sai Sudarshan, just the one game out.
Yeah.
Shardul Thakur out. Nitish Reddy in. I got the impression that India went in with 3 bowlers and 3 batting all-rounders. Do you think that's good enough for India going ahead to win, or do you think that this desire to strengthen the tail is actually an illusion?
Well, time will tell, but it felt a very safe selection.
Yeah.
It feels like they've gone safe. It feels like they've packed the batting when I don't think the batting was the problem. I look at the bench and I look at Arshdeep Singh, the left arm. If you're playing your off spinner, surely you want to create some rough for your off spinner. It concerned me actually when I heard Shubman say that they were going to bowl first as well. I think the way that India win is to do what they've done here. Bat first, they would and should have won at Headley if they're caught.
Yeah.
And they're batting first here by default because the England captains put them in. But they now find themselves at the end of day one in a good position. But you look at that attack and think, where are the 20 wickets going to come from?
Exactly.
And I look at, Akashdeep's a good bowler. He could easily get the odd ball to, we're talking about Chris Roach nicking the ball back. I could see Akashdeep nipping the ball back to the right-handers. But from what I've seen at Edgbaston, the clouds can come in and the ball can swing. And that could help India if they get fortunate with the conditions. But it will require the spinners. Okay. And if you're reliant on 2 spinners, which we're obviously going to pick, why weren't you going to think about batting first? And if you're going to try and get your off spin into the equation, sure, you need a left arm over to create some rough for the off spinner. So there's a few things that they've made in terms of decisions this week. Look, after day one at Headley, and when India were 430 for 3, we were all saying England have got no chance of winning the game. They ended up winning the game by 5 wickets. So this is an era of Test match cricket where I think it's the hardest era to judge what's going to happen after day one. You go back 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and India 310 for 5. We'd be sat there going, India are dominating this Test match. But because of what Ben and Baz have done over the course of the last 3.5 years, you're kind of sitting there going, well, it's an even Stevens day because they like chasing. So selection's a little bit odd and safe for India, but I will say if the pitch deteriorates and starts to tweak, which it can do later on in the Test match here at Edgbaston, it might end up being a good selection. But I certainly would have wanted the leg spinner.
Just one final thing to talk about before we finish for today, and that concerns a little bit more about tomorrow than we've actually discussed, which is what we're going to do in Fast Forward. You knew English weather, it was supposed to rain today and it didn't. I'm just looking out now as we are recording. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's glorious. You got light till the very end. But what about tomorrow? It gets a bit of cloud cover. It moves. What is the score at which India will think, right, we're in this game big time now? Remember, India lost with 470. So, or we just time. We want to be batting at lunch, and we want to be batting an hour after lunch.
Oh, you want 450, but they've got runs on the board, and you've always got to have a positive mindset. And England are 310 behind at the minute.
Yes.
India have got 5 batters remaining, so bat the session out, get another 100. You're over 400, and that is a decent score in Test match cricket. If they want to completely dominate the game, you think you're going to need 500 plus, and probably a Shubman Gill double century, maybe a Jadeja century. Yeah. But you've got to look at the course of a Test match and think, well, conditions can change in the UK. Clouds can arrive. The ball can start swinging. You're going to have to field well and catch well. India are in the Test match. It's just this Ben Stokes and the way that he's captained and the chases that he has done on a consistent basis. It's the only reason we're sat here going, it's just an even Stevens day.
My view is, if you've picked Washington Sundar ahead of Kuldeep Yadav, then you've got a right to expect 450 from here. There's a reason you've picked up Washington Sundar ahead of a Kuldeep Yadav. I mean, for all that, Washington might just turn up and pick up 3 wickets because off spin does you well. But the reason you've picked Washington Sundar at 8 and not Kuldeep Yadav at 8 is you want to stretch that score beyond maybe a potential 370, 380 to a 420, 430. So we'll wait and see. I hope you've enjoyed watching Cricbuzz Chatter on the first day of this second Test match. It comes to you in association with Cricbuzz 11, the fantasy gaming app from the house of Cricbuzz. I hope it's another day like this.
It's going to be glorious always.
Yes,
Might
it
get
is.
some rain over the weekend, but if India are positive, you take the weekend out of the equation.
So you think I don't need to
Have
carry
they got the mindset to be positive to say, take the weekend out of the equation? Get the game done and dusted, Harsha.
So you don't think I need to get in a sweat?
You'll need a vest tomorrow. It's going to be cold.
You had to say that at the end. It's just me just letting me. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be as good a day as it was today.